Dear friends, how are you? As we discussed in last few sessions about the global challenges, we still have to deal with challenges, more challenges, as I discussed last time. And when we talk about global challenges, it means we have to deal with the global community. And in global community, we have different countries, particularly the United States of America, and the relationships with the United States of America. We'll be having 3 or 4 sessions talking about the history of our relationships with the United States of America in past 67 years since the birth of Pakistan. So it's very important to understand our relationships with the United States of America. As I keep saying, that you people should send us your comments and your questions, your queries about the campaign, a mission for the ordinary people of Pakistan to come up with their issues and problems which are supposed to be solved by the governments. We are there to help you, to assist you, to be your voice, to take your voice, to raise your voice to the globe, to the global community, to the national parliament of Pakistan, to the bureaucracy in Pakistan and abroad, and to the NGOs and to the diplomats in Islamabad, and the global community worldwide, especially United States of America, Great Britain, other European countries, the NATO countries, the countries in the Security Council of the United Nations. Especially I'm talking to the youth, the Americans, the British, the French, the Spanish, and the Australian students between the age of 15 and 35, and the intellectuals and scholars, professors and scientists, and the think tanks about the relationship of Pakistan with the United States for last 67 years. What kind of relationships we had and what we got out of it. It's very important for all of us, for the two nations, to know the 180 million nation of Pakistan and 300 million people of the United States, to understand the gaps between the minds, the gaps between the thoughts of the people of United States and Pakistan, and how to reduce that gap between the thoughts, the distance between the two nations. And we were friends at one time, and we will be friends with mutual respect in future as well. So in these 3 to 4 sessions, we will be talking more about the United States and Pakistan's relations for last 67 years. United States-Pakistan relations refers to the international, historical, and cultural bilateral relationships between Islamic Republic of Pakistan and the United States of America. Roughly 2 months after independence and Great Britain's departure from this subcontinent, the United States established relations with Pakistan on 20th October 1947. The United States was amongst the first nations, along with Iran and few others, to establish relations with Pakistan in the late 1940s. Since then, relations have been centered around the United States' extensive economic, scientific, and military assistance to Pakistan. Along with the U.S. During the Cold War against the USSR, Pakistan was an integral in CENTO and CETO, both alliances opposed the Soviet Union and the communism. Relations were soured in the 1970s with the left-oriented Pakistan People's Party-led government, which came in power in 1971. However, the closely coordinated military cooperation deepened in the 1980s against Soviet expansion in Central Asia. After the disintegration of USSR and Pakistan's subsequent return to democracy, the relations once again became cold with the US imposing an economic embargo against Pakistan during most of the 1990s. Since 2011, mutual and intensive criticisms and allegations based on the strategies in the war on terror have hindered the relations. Furthermore, as a result of the Lahore incident and black operation in the country, which killed the Al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden, followed by Salalah incident, relations between the two countries were severely damaged. Currently, Pakistan is designated as a major non-NATO ally of the United States, which is the second largest supplier of military equipment to Pakistan after China, and largest economic aid contributor as well. So in our discussions and these few sessions, we'll be talking about relations with the superpower during the Cold War. Historically, we'll define PAK-US relationships since the birth of the Pakistan as of to date, and we will tell you what sort of relationships we had with the United States from 1947 till now. So we'll talk about democratic governments from 1947 to 1958 and the relationships with US. Military dictatorship time 1960 to 1969. We'll talk about the military dictatorship time between 1969 to 1971. We'll talk about the role, Pakistan's role in US-China relations. We'll talk about role in Indo-Pakistan War of 1971, the United Nations, the US role in Indo-Pak War of 1971. We'll be talking about democratic government from 1971 to 1977. We'll be talking about the military dictatorship 1977 to 1988 and the relationships with the United States. We'll be talking about relations after the Cold War that started in 1988 to 1999 and what sort of relationships we had with US. And the democratic governments during 1988 to 1998, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the rift in relations, the economic embargo, Cold War legacies and trade sanctions. We'll talk about CENTO and CETO. We'll talk about trade embargo. We'll talk about military science programs, and we'll talk about Pakistan and atomic weapons. We'll talk about non-proliferation and security. We'll talk about a space program. We'll talk about relations since 2001, that is 9/11. Alliance with the United States, we'll talk about aid from the United States since 9/11. We'll talk about the trust deficits issues. We'll talk about border engagement and other issues. We talk about Afghan war factor in Pakistan, United States relations. We'll talk about 2009 US military and economic aid. We'll talk about 2010 coalition partnership issues. We'll discuss 2011 American accusations and attacks in Pakistan. We will also discuss collapse of alliance and death of Osama bin Laden in May 2011, and we will be talking about American sentiment and against Pakistan. We will also discuss what military aid was given to Pakistan from the United States, and we will see the cultural influence of the United States in Pakistan. So let's begin from the democratic government from 1947 to 1958, and when we talk about that age, we are actually talking more about Liaquat Ali Khan, the first Prime Minister of Pakistan. So after Pakistan's independence by partitioning of the British Indian Empire, Pakistan was founded while struggling with problems involving the national economy, national security, and Soviet influence, and the Afghanistan and Iran, that forced Pakistan's first Prime Minister Liaquat Ali Khan to cement a pro-Western and pro-American policy. So, as I said, in 1949, the Soviet Union directed a farewell message to Prime Minister Liaquat Ali Khan, followed by the United States invitation in 1950. The proposal was under consideration when Pakistan's geostrategists, military policy makers, logisticians, and foreign service officers raised great questions whether or not the Soviet Union could provide the military, technical, and economic aid that the country needed so urgently. One key common denominator was the home front, when Communist Party had gained the considerable support in East Pakistan and Socialist Party in West Pakistan, in which the Muslim League had failed to take active measures against the socialists in the West and communists in the East. Prime Minister Liaquat Ali Khan made a tireless effort to establish relations with the Soviet Union, repeatedly asking Joseph Stalin for military aid, but all attempts were rebuffed by the Soviets. According to PILA, the religious background of Pakistan and the atheist background of the Soviet Union had created major divergence after Pakistan noted subservience which was forced upon the allies of the Soviet Union. After a long debate, Pakistan's Prime Minister Liaquat Ali Khan decided to pay his first visit to the United States. While holding the Soviet invitation, which was met with great hostility from the Soviet Union and the harsh criticism by the Pakistan socialists and communists of Liaquat Ali Khan and his government. The President of the United States, Harry Truman, and the U.S. itself were well aware of strategic importance of Pakistan, but did not have any concrete plans. The U.S. continued its civilian aid to country through United States Ambassador to Pakistan, Paul Allen. It was not until 1950 when the military aid was begun with the new ambassador, Avra M. Warren, taking office. From 1950 to 53, Pakistan's state delegation paid visit to the United States, initially seeking military aid rather than civilian. Prime Minister Liaquat Ali Khan, Hussain Shohrwardi, Army Commander Ayub Khan, Foreign Minister Zafarullah Khan, Foreign Secretary Karamullah Khan, Finance Minister Ghaus Muhammad, Defense Secretary Sikandar Mirza, and the special envoy Mr. Liaquat Ali made the United States visits with the main intention of getting military aid. Controversially, there was neither an organized, coordinated, nor institutional effort, nor any attempt made to study the U.S. decision-making process to achieve the goal. The U.S. government officials were smart enough to understand and to very quickly grasp the mediocre leadership of Pakistan. The U.S. government would use the country to achieve regional and strategic goals and interests. When the true nature of U.S. ambition exposed to Prime Minister Liaquat Ali Khan, the Prime Minister deliberately attempted to warm relations with the Soviet Union and the Soviet bloc, while warning the U.S. that Pakistan has annexed half of Kashmir without American support, and would be able to take other half too. Liaquat Ali Khan's sudden shift and aggressive mood was a bombshell for President Truman's presidency and for U.S. foreign policy. So in 1950, President Truman requested Prime Minister Liaquat Ali Khan to provide a military base to the Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA, to keep an eye on Soviet Union, which Liaquat Ali Khan hesitated and later refused, prompting the U.S. to begin planning the assassination of Liaquat Ali Khan, to remove him from the country's politics one and for all. These are like the comments that the people give, and this is from the think tanks. However, there were no official evidence to support marking the big question on Ali Khan's assassination. The Indian government followed a different non-aligned policy stance, which leaned closer towards the Soviet Union than towards the United States of America. Pakistan was seeking strong alliances to counter its neighbor India. At this time, India was neutral and went on to be a part of non-aligned movement. In 1953, the United States assessed Pakistan as a volunteer army of around millions. It is not neutral, but an anti-communist. As a possible ally of U.S.-Pakistan displays a tempting picture of power, potential, and actual. The Pakistan Armed Forces were extremely well disciplined, professional, well-trained armed forces whose morality and bravery are unquestionable. Okay, according to Hamid Hussain, Pakistan has become comical in 1955 to 56, and Secretary of State John Foster Dulles, while arguing for lead aid to Pakistan in 1953, told the subcommittee on agriculture and forestry during hearings that the people of Pakistan had a splendid military tradition, and that in Karachi he had been met by a guard of honor which was the finest he had ever seen. Apparently, Dulles did not tell agriculture department what on earth the wheat aid has to do with the military. After the signing of the first mutual defense treaty in May 1954, large-scale interaction between U.S. and Pakistani military started, with hundreds of officers began to send to U.S. on routine and regular basis, getting trained shoulder to shoulders with U.S. military. A U.S. Military Assistance Advisory Group, MAG, was established in Army headquarters in Rawalpindi. All the MAG was divided into groups depending on their role. According to Colonel Jordan of CIA, the officers of Pakistan Armed Forces were not only trained in military ethics, but also to groom them for non-military activities such as leadership, management, and economics. The U.S. had no interest to enhance relations with the political leadership, but was rather hostile towards the civilians. In 1956, President Eisenhower kindly requested Prime Minister Sohrawardy to lease a military base, Peshawar station, to make preparation for spy operations and to coordinate secret signal intelligence flights to gain intelligence on Soviet Union's intercontinental ballistic missiles. The request was granted, and the U.S. opened the station with building an airstrip, command and control station, and Air Force base nearby. So this base was kept in secret. The highest Pakistani government official, including the military personnel, could not enter, and in 1959 the U.S. denied the request of Zulfikar Ali Bhutto when he tried to visit the facility. The U.S. interest in Pakistan grew after realizing the importance of Pakistan Armed Forces, which was seen as a potential partner against communism, not the political leadership. That is why Pakistan's Prime Minister Hussain Sohrawardy made frequent trips to the United States. The importance was not given to him, but his army commander, Ayub Khan. Furthermore, relations gradually went down with the people elected president Iskandar Mirza, leading to military coup against him in 1958. So after successfully leading the military coup in 1958, Ayub Khan quickly visited the US, stressing that armed forces are the strongest element. Ayub Khan and the US were convinced that the left-wing intellectuals would come to power, which would not only destabilize Pakistan, but would affect the US strategic interest to the United States. The military alliance with Ayub Khan was to ensure provide safeguard to U.S. interest in Southwest Asia and Middle East, and not against India. So the secret establishments too saw the relationship as a shortcut to modernization of its armed forces, but failed to comprehend the long-term strategic interest of Pakistan. So this was the time when we discussed. It was before 1960 till it was in 1958, and we have to see what happened after military dictatorship in 1960 and 1969, what sort of relationships Pakistan had with the United States. So in that decade, from 1960 to almost 1969, almost 9 to 10 years, Pakistan joined the US-led military alliances SEATO and CENTO. In 1954, the United States signed a mutual defense assistance agreement with Pakistan. Under Ayub Khan, Pakistan enjoyed a strong, close relationship with the United States. Pakistan had aligned itself with the United States during the Cold War, as opposed to the Soviet Union. Ayub Khan's government also provided secret military base to the United States. The 1960 era was perhaps most enjoyable and foreign relationships enjoyed both by the United States and Pakistan. In 1960 era, Pakistan and her people were the most pro-American nation, where the U.S. image was most positive than any other nation at that time. In 1961, Ayub Khan paid a state visit to the United States, accompanied by his daughter, Begum Nasir Akhtar Aurangzeb. Highlights of the trip included a state dinner at Mount Vernon, and a visit to Islamic Center of Washington, and a ticker tape parade in New York City. We will keep talking about the history of Pakistan-US relationships in our next session as well. So I will be requesting the international students from Pakistan to send us their comments, and the people living in Pakistan to send us the questions and queries and their issues in Pakistan to us, and inshallah in next session we will be talking more about the PAK-US relationships. Thanks for your time.